In 2020, more than 100,000 Black women and girls were reported missing. While Black women account for less than 15% of the U.S. population, we make up more than 1/3 of all missing person cases in 2020. Black girls are less likely to receive Amber Alerts and more likely to be classified as runaways. They're also less likely to receive media attention and coverage.
Welcome back, everyone, to GMA3. That was a clip of Minnesota State Representative Ruth Richardson in January presenting a bill to establish the nation's first office of missing and murdered Black women and girls, designed to offer assistance, including providing grants and establishing prevention programs for issues like domestic violence and human trafficking.
And here to tell us more about the office and her advocacy work is Minnesota State Representative Ruth Richardson. Thank you so much for being here with us and talking about this very important issue. This impacts so many families around the country. Why is this so personal to you?
You know, what's really sad about this tragedy is it's a long time crisis in the making. And it has been really heartbreaking to hear the stories of families that have felt that their loved one being missing, not being taken seriously. And when I started this work and had the opportunity just to be in space with so many families that were impacted, I knew that we were long overdue in terms of elevating this issue to the crisis that it is, to ensure that we get the resources and investments to bring answers to families that they deserve.
And I was just telling you during the break, I've worked in some newsrooms where I've seen the differences in the coverage over the years. This task force was established back in 2020. What have you found so far?
Well, the task force, I think, has highlighted a number of things that we already know, right, intuitively. We can point to cases where we see Black women and girls not getting as much media attention. When you hear names like Gabby Petito or Drew Shadeen, those are names that are like household names in many ways. But if you hear the name Elle Reagan, a young girl who's been missing in Minnesota since last summer, those are names that people don't know. And so there's a real, I think, opportunity here to ensure that we are elevating the stories of missing Black women and girls in the same way that we do for other communities.
But do you think they're quickly, dismissed because a report comes in that it's a runaway versus, there's a foul play suspected?
Yeah, the classification of runaway is one that I think that we just need to do away with, because oftentimes what happens when a young girl is classified as a runaway, they don't get the same media attention. They also don't get the same resources from law enforcement as well. And what happens within the first 48 hours is often determinative as to whether that child is going to be found alive. And so when law enforcement is waiting to implement resources and the media is waiting as well, as a result of that, it just intensifies and worsens the crisis. And the cold case rate, not only for missing person cases, but for homicide cases for Black women and girls, is skyrocketing.
You talk about that term runaway and how it impacts, but what else goes into this? Why are these Black women and girls not getting the attention when they go missing?
It's a really great question. And one of the questions that I often ask when I'm talking to the media is, how do you determine when you're going to elevate a story? What are the policies and procedures that determine whether it is going to be, at the top of the front page of the newspaper, if it's going to be something that is going to be run every single night? But it's also, I think, ensuring that we are doing the work as a community to also highlight these stories as well, because we all play a role.
And you've talked about how the bill could be a blueprint for legislators nationwide. Have you seen any interest from other states, and what would that look like on a national level?
Absolutely. So I'm really happy that Wisconsin is looking at establishing a task force. California is also looking at establishing a task force as well. And nationally, thinking about the federal government, we need dedicated resources.
So much of when someone goes missing really falls on the community. If someone watching this goes, I want to have this in my community, what can they do?
talk to your legislators. Tell them that this is a crisis that they should be worried about and that they should be investing in. It's taken years to get to this level of this public health crisis, and we're not going to get out of it unless there's dedicated resources, which is why an office will be so important to have that infrastructure.
And a reminder that every missing child, every missing woman, she matters.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. When doing this work, it's not about asking for something more. It's about asking for the same energy and the same attention.
I'm glad Eva said that she matters.
Yeah. Minnesota
Absolutely.
State Representative Ruth Richardson, amazing work you're doing. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me today.
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Lots of great stuff here. So go on, click the subscribe button right over here to get more of awesome videos and content from GMA every day, anytime. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the morning on GMA.